First is irritability, which means capable of receiving stimulation and responding to stimulation from nerves. Second is contractility, which allows muscle tissue to pull on its attachment points and shorten with force. Next is extensibility, which means the ability of a muscle to be stretched or extended. And the last one is elasticity, which means the ability to stretch a muscle and reach its full range of movement without restriction. Our next topic is about the functions of muscles. First is produce movement, which muscle move body parts by contracting and relaxing. Next is maintain posture and position. Maintaining postures and positions are from muscle actions with lesser magnitude. Is stabilize joints. The state of joint remaining promptly or returning to proper alignment through other functions supports and protect the visceral organs and internal tissues from the injuries. Group of muscles. Group of muscles are situated close together on your body to perform similar movements. We have two fiber arrangements of the muscle. So, the first one is the parallel fiber arrangement, which means pattern of fibers within a muscle in which the fibers are roughly parallel to the longitudinal axis of the muscle. We have 5 different shapes of parallel fiber arrangement. First is the fusiform or biceps brachii. Next is the strap or sartorius. Third is the convergent or pectoralis. Fourth is the circular or orbicularis. Next is flat or the external oblique. And we have the second fiber arrangement, which is the pediform fiber arrangement. So, it is the unipinnate muscles where muscle fiber are oriented in a single direction. We also have 3 different shapes peniform fiber arrangement. First is the unipinnate. Second is the bipinnate. Third is the multipinnate. Also, we have 2 kinds of muscle fiber, the slow and the intermediate or fast. The slow or fatigue resistant and focused done sustain smaller movements and postural control. The intermediate and fast are fast twitch muscle fibers which have been converted via endurance training.
So, role of muscle. And the performance of a motor skill, only a small portion of the potential movement capability of the musculoskeletal system is used. So, the role of muscles in the performance of a motor skill is crucial. Muscles are responsible for generating force and producing movement in the body. So, they work in coordination with the nervous system to execute specific actions. So, when it comes to motor skills, only a small portion of the potential movement capability of the musculoskeletal system is used. This is because motor skills require a precise and controlled movement, which often requires specific muscles to be activated while others remain relatively inactive. So the second one is the origin versus insertion. So first is origin. The origin of muscle is the attachment point that is closer to the midline or center of the body. It is typically more proximal and has a broader attachment. This provides stability, a strong foundation, and a larger surface area for muscle fibers to attach, allowing for efficient and controlled movements. So next is insertion. The attachment farther from the midline or more distal. This attachment usually converge to a tendon. So the insertion point is typically more mobile compared to the origin, allowing for a greater range of motion by pulling onto the bone or structure. It is attached to the muscle contraction. At the insertion point, generates movement and enables action such as flexion, extension, and rotation. So the last one is developing torque. A muscle controls or create a movement through the development of torque. Torque is defined as the tendency of a force to produce rotation about a specific axis. So, when a muscle contracts, it generates a force that can cause an object to rotate around a specific axis. This rotational force is called torque. Torque is the product of the force applied and the distance from the axis of rotation. Muscle controls and create movement by developing torque. The force generated by the muscle, when applied at a distance from the axis of rotation, creates a rotational force that can move or stabilize body parts.
Muscle action, creating, opposing, and stabilizing movement. Agonist versus antagonist. Agonist muscles, creating the same joint movement, is typically used to describe the muscles that opposes another muscle's movement. Antagonist muscles, opposing or producing the opposite joint movement. The agonist muscles, this is the tense or strained muscles during an action and acts as a primary mover during any action. It's an absolutely crucial component of any kind of action and works alongside the antagonist muscles to create constructions and extensions. Agonist muscles constructs while the antagonist muscles relaxes, allowing for the free movement of our joints and muscles. So there are some examples of agonists and antagonists: the biceps and triceps, and hamstrings and quads. The hamstrings and quads, the two of our primary muscles in our upper legs. This is the one of the prime example of agonist and antagonist muscle pairs. The quads and hamstring controls the extension and construction of our knees, which are an integral part of some of the most basic things we can do, such as walking or sitting down. The quad function is the agonist muscles in that they can contract and tense, while the hamstring is the antagonist muscles, meaning it is relaxes. So now, let's proceed to stabilizers and neutralizers. So, what is stabilizers and neutralizers? Stabilizers, these muscles stabilize the movement of other muscles and give support to them to avoid breakage. These muscles are represented in the hip, shoulder, knee, elbow, and ankle. On the other hand, neutralizers, they work in order to prevent movement, contract to prevent the unwanted movement. So, what is muscle? Muscle is a group of tissue which contract together to produce a force. A muscle consists of fibers of muscles, cells surrounded by protective tissue, bundled together many more fibers, all surrounded and thick protective tissue. So there are three types of muscle in our body. So first is the skeletal muscle. This muscle is voluntary muscle that attach to the bone of a skeleton. A skeletal muscle, the specialized tissue that is attached to bones and allows movement. Together, skeletal muscles and bones are called the musculoskeletal system, also known as the locomotor system. Generally speaking, skeletal muscle is grouped into opposing pairs such as the biceps and triceps on the front and back of the upper arm. And the second one is the smooth muscle. This muscle and voluntary muscle allow organs like small intestines and blood vessels. Smooth muscles located in various internal structures, including the digestive tract, uterus, and blood vessels such as arteries. Smooth muscle is arranged and layer-shaped that contract and weaves along the length of the structure. Another common term is involuntary muscle, since the motion of smooth muscles happen without our conscious awareness. And the last one is cardiac muscle. This muscle is involuntary muscles, heart. Cardiac muscle, the muscle is specific to the heart. The heart contracts and relaxes without our conscious awareness. Skeletal muscle distribution with corresponding contents. Body region, muscle area, and content. Skeletal muscle distribution refers to the way in which skeletal muscles are arranged throughout the body. Body regions, head and neck. Head houses the brain and the major sense organs, framework of the face, trunk or torso, the central part of the body. They have two sections, the thorax and abdomen. The upper extremities have three regions, which is the arms, forearms, and the hand. The lower extremities has three regions also, the thigh, leg, and the foot. Range of movement have two types. The first one is active range of motion. Limb is actively moved with muscle contraction. The second one is the passive range of motion. Limb is passively moved, no muscle contraction. Physical wellness is one of important state of well-being and capability of each individual to design the optimum required personal fitness program for maintaining the level of health. Strength, the ability to sustain the application of force without yielding or breaking the ability of muscle to exert efforts against resistance. Flexibility. Flexibility determines how far you can bend, and it depends on how you can stretch your muscle without tearing them. Exercises for fitness. Physical activity is defined as any related movement that spends power and flexibility. Exercise also promotes positive psychological changes, such as encouraging the heart to give a good condition more readily. also help your nervous system, which controls your heart rate and blood pressures. Pyramid activity guide to keep healthy by keeping active. Cut down on. The first one is surfing the web, playing video games, and watching TV. 2 to 3 times a week, leisure activities, volleyball, and dancing. Strength and flexibility, push-ups, curl-ups, yoga, and martial arts. And 3 to 5 times a week, aerobics exercise, running, swimming, brisk walking, and biking. Recreational activities, hiking, soccer, basketball. For every day you can do is, first one is take the stairs, walk limited of drive or ride, do work around